Do you know the 14 traits of successful chiropractors? We've interviewed some of the top chiropractors in the industry and have identified the common traits that they all share. Jump on over to www.chirobusinessmojo.com to get your free report today.
Welcome to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast, where we deconstruct the methods, marketing, and mindset of successful business people and chiropractors from around the world. And now your host, Dr. Richard Day.
Yes, I am Dr. Richard Day, and this is the Chiro Business Mojo podcast. It is so nice to be with you here today, and hello once again. Well, there are some people that I invite on the show that literally have so many accomplishments that it would take up most of the show to read them, and today's guest is no exception. I've pared it down, but this man is very accomplished. Dr. David Jockers is a functional nutritionist, corrective care chiropractor, exercise physiologist, and certified strength and conditioning specialist. He currently owns and operates Exodus Healthcare in Kennesaw, Georgia, and runs one of the hottest natural health websites in drjockers.com. His experience working with thousands of individuals has given him a level of expertise in the field. He's had the privilege of traveling to London with the Maximize Living Wellness Advisory Council to help the USA athletes win the gold in 2012. He's the author of Supercharge Your Brain, the complete guide to radically improve your mood, memory, and mindset, and the Supercharged Recipe Book with over 180 full-color recipes to help you take back control of your health. He's developed 6 revolutionary online programs with thousands of participants. These programs include e-guides, recipe guides, meal plans, video instructions, and more, including the Sugar Detox, the Cancer Cleanse, Navigating the Ketogenic Diet, and the Digestive Health Restoration Program, and the Autoimmune Elimination Program, and also the Superbrain Program. He's a sought-after speaker and leader around the country on such topics as weight loss, brain health, functional medicine, natural detoxification, and disease prevention. Dr. Jockers does local and long-distance consultations to help customize specific lifestyle plans that improve performance and beat chronic disease. Welcome, Dr. David Jockers.
Hey, great to be here with you, Richard.
Well, thanks so much for checking in with us here today, and I invite you to jump in and fill in any gaps in your bio that I may have glossed right over.
I'm sure you got it. So,
well, thank you. I want to talk to you a little bit about the why. You know, it's always important to know the why. Why did you become a chiropractor?
Well, you know, I think growing up, basically my mom was always into natural health, and you know, I was an athlete growing up, and so my mom actually taught me about performance. She would always put kale and different green vegetables and things like that on my plate. And at that period of time, I had no interest in eating healthy foods or really a healthy lifestyle. But she would explain to me how it would help me play baseball better, and it would help my skin, so I'd have less acne. And so I started consuming the food she was telling me because I'm like, hey, if this is going to help me perform better, then I'm going to eat it. And then as I got a little bit older, my grandfather got real sick. He developed metastatic melanoma, so skin cancer spread throughout his body, and I watched him in a matter of months go from 6'3", 210, strong, stocky guy that didn't complain of any health issues, and literally in 6 months, sitting there in a nursing home, rotting away, 106 pounds, on 15 medications, morphine drips, just numb him up, and he had a diaper on because he couldn't even control his own bowels. And so I watched him go through that, and it ripped my heart out. And that's really when I decided, hey, I want to help people get healthy. But of course, I really didn't know how. And so I got into personal training, and I started helping people with exercise and nutrition. And I always struggled with digestive issues, but it wasn't until my early 20s. And at the time I was a personal trainer when my digestive issues got really bad. And they got to the point where I went from 165 pounds down to 135 pounds, developed severe irritable bowel and adrenal fatigue. And fortunately, my road to recovery involved a chiropractor that was working out at my fitness center. And he did an analysis on me and started doing upper cervical corrective care on me. And along with making changes with my nutrition, went on a gluten-free diet. I really took all the grains out, made a lot of changes in my nutrition plan, and I was able to regain my weight, regain my health. And the idea of chiropractic, I always thought had to do with back pain, but now I realize it was really about the healing response of the body's ability to adapt to stress. And that appealed to me. And I really wanted to go out and help teach community wellness programs and help entire communities get healthy and well. And, that's what I ended up doing. Went to Life University, opened my clinic, not far from Life University in Kennesaw, Georgia, and have just been, in a sense, just passionate about teaching as many people as possible how to get healthy and well.
So how long have you been in practice?
I've been in practice, graduated in late 2008 and opened my clinic in 2009. So at this point, we're doing this interview, 7.5 years.
Well, let's talk about drjockers.com. And I went, when I first heard about you, I started researching you like I do everyone, and I checked out your website. And I got to tell you, I was blown away. There is so much content there. It's so well organized. You have accomplished so much since you graduated and started practice. I have a million questions, but we don't have a million hours. So let's just talk about some of the basics. How long's the site been around? And do you have a team that helps you? How'd you get such great content?
Yeah, great questions. I started my website really, I guess I had a website when I first started my practice, but I started really focusing on creating awesome content, the world's best content, about 5 years ago. And I do have a team. So steadily over a period of time, it started with just me. Now I have a full-time graphic designer. I have a full-time web administrator. I also have a functional nutritionist that creates content, as well as another writer that helps me with content creation, and an intern as well. So we have basically a team of 6 at this point. Plus we have a videographer that we hire on the side for videos. So we got a whole team to really create incredible content. And again, it's this idea that I'm just obsessed with doing the best I can to educate, encourage, and empower people. The term doctor means teacher. And I tell all my clients this: the greatest thing a doctor can do for you is take the time to teach you, coach you, educate you, and empower you to take back control of your health. And that's what we strive to do at drjockers.com, and really provide the best quality content when it comes to natural health.
Well, I also saw in there that you've written a couple of books, like we mentioned in your bio, Supercharge Your Brain and Supercharged Recipe Book. And I think, a lot of us maybe have a great book inside of us, but it's hard to get that out there. How did you go about, I guess, writing a book?
Well, I've been writing articles for years. In fact, back when I was in school, I started writing for some big websites like Natural News, and just in a sense, just creating content. And early in practice, patients would ask me questions. What foods do I eat for my thyroid? How do I balance my hormones? How do I get rid of my high blood pressure? And so I started creating content to answer those questions and publishing it professionally. And then when I started my website, I started to redo some of that content so that way it could be original on my website. And over time, I realized, hey, I've got enough content in here. I can actually start grabbing pieces here and write a book. And that's how I wrote Supercharge Your Brain. I've also, of course, written a recipe book as well, 180 recipe book, and it's got a whole nutrition part in the beginning. And then I've written numerous ebooks, probably at this point, like 30 different ebooks for all of my online programs. And, it's just creating great content to answer people's questions, and then figuring out how to sort that into a book and what transitions need to take place with that in order to create a book that reads well.
So do you have ghostwriters help you with the writing, or is this all you?
With my books, it's pretty much all me. I would say 95 to 99% it's me. But I do, on my website at this point, I do have ghostwriters that help out. So they'll create content. I do very little writing for my own website. I'm the editor. So I'll take content pieces that my other writers have written, and then I will edit it, put my own voice into it, things like that at this point. But really, that only started about 3 months ago. I was still doing a lot of the content until probably the summer of 2016 here. Well,
as if that weren't enough, I saw that you also do a podcast, which I think is awesome. And it really, again, is helping to get our message, the message of health, out there. You've clearly been very successful at personal branding. And when I look at what you've got there, it's obviously, taken many years to put all this together, but it looks really daunting. And I think in this day and age, personal branding is something that chiropractors should be striving to do, to really separate themselves and to lead that charge of a healthier life. So how would you recommend chiropractors start this process?
I would say number one is really understand your own personal story. And so we all have our own personal story, whether it was our own health issue that we struggled with and overcame, or a family member's. And so it's kind of this hero's journey. So we're all on this journey. We're all a hero, but we don't feel like it at times. There's struggles and setbacks that we have. And so we want to really be able to relate with our audience based around our own personal struggles. So for me, I struggled with digestion and energy. After my literally a year in practice, working 80 hours a week on my clinic, I developed skin cancer. I was able to overcome that naturally. These are parts of my own personal story, as well as seeing my grandfather suffer the way that he did. And so because of that, that's my story. And so what do I specialize in? Really helping people get to the root causes of their digestive problems, helping increase energy, helping with natural cancer prevention, these sorts of strategies. So we all have a personal story, and the more that we can anchor into our personal story, the more that our own brand will come out of that. So based around our own personal health struggles or struggles of a family member, that should be where we focus our energy and attention. And therefore, people are going to come to us because they're captivated by our story, and they realize that we're a hero. It's this hero's journey, and we've got solutions that they want based around the unique circumstances we face in our own life and how we're able to overcome those things.
Well, take me back to the beginning. In 2008, when you first started your practice, I think when we first come out of school, it's a scary situation out there. It's unknown. You don't know what you don't know. Take us back. What was your mindset then? Did you have startup capital? What were your biggest fears?
Yeah, I had a big fear of failure in general. And so I started my practice. Basically, I couldn't get a student loan. That was right at the period of time where the economy had crashed. So I couldn't get not a student loan, but a business loan. So I think I had about $7,000 or $8,000 left from student loan money because I took out the maximum amount I could before I finished school. So I had a little bit there. I also had a credit card that had good credit because I used to put my tuition on my credit card and paid off with my student loan. And they actually gave me $14,500 as good as cash with 0% interest for like 6 months. And then somehow I got a $19,000 loan that was a home refinance loan. And so somehow I got a home refinance loan. I didn't even have a home. And so I ended up, and then I just applied for every credit card that I could. So I ended up getting enough capital, about $40,000 to $45,000, and was able to open my clinic. I actually lived in my clinic for 2 years, and I had a back store. It's now a storage room. I lived in there. I had a mattress down, and I had a 24-hour gym across the street that I would shower at. Lived in there for 2 years until I had paid off all of my business debt and my student loan debt, and I had enough money to put a good down payment on a house. And I bought the closest available house, which was a small little 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, little kind of more of a townhome. And I could literally walk to my practice at that point. So that was my first few years of practice, was just being very frugal, investing into the business, and getting out of debt. And just hustling, working as hard as I could, creating relationships in my community, and taking great care of people.
Wow, what a great story and a great strategy.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a bit about your practice today.
Yeah, so my practice today is in the same location, beautiful location. We actually just renovated it. And I have 2 doctors that are awesome. Dr. Shannon Good, who specializes with pediatrics and pregnancy, as well as Dr. Andrew St. Bernard, who is a phenomenal chiropractor. And they pretty much run the practice. I'm only in there 2 shifts a week. One shift I do adjusting, the other shift, and I take on 2 functional medicine cases, basically functional nutrition cases every week. So one shift I just do that. And at the end of my Wednesday morning shift. So really I'm only in there Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday morning now. And my office is we're open 5 days a week, but it's run by other doctors that I know and trust. Dr. Shannon's been working for me for 5 years, and Dr. Andrew for over 3 years. And I think that's a big thing that I see in the chiropractic circle, is that many doctors don't understand really how to leverage their time, and they don't take good care of their associates. Many people will get associates, but they don't take very good care, and so they have a lot of turnover with them. And I really pride myself in taking good care of my associates, empowering them, paying them well, and just letting them know that they're the leaders in that practice. And so because of that, I've got great stability there, which has allowed me to really focus most of my time and energy on my website business and on drjockers.com. And, so it's just been a great blend, a great mix there.
Well, can you give us a breakdown of your revenue sources, Medicare, personal injury, cash, insurance?
Yeah, I would say at our practice, we're probably 90 to 95% cash. I don't know what percent Medicare, 1 to 5%, and then maybe 5% PI.
Wow. So have there been any challenges with cash? I know, to a certain extent it's regional. If there's a great, someone has great benefits out there and no deductible and things like that, people want to use their insurance. Any particular strategy you've had, or is that people willing to pay for great care?
Just creating great value for people. So we have a process where we put our patients through an orientation process, and we teach them that insurance really isn't there to correct the underlying root cause of their problems, but it's more of a symptom-based care. And so that's why we don't use it. And we really haven't had major issues. I would say my first year or two, I definitely got a lot more objections with it than I do now. I really, in the last 5 years, have not heard many objections. Most people realize that insurance doesn't pay for wellness and prevention, and so they don't really think about it, at least in my clinic.
Well, most of us are doing some form of internal and external marketing. Can you talk about maybe a couple of the things you're doing for each?
Yeah, we do a monthly workshop on some sort of a trendy health topic. Like coming up, we're doing healthy digestion and energy. So we're going to talk about healing leaky gut. Last month, we did a cancer workshop. The month before that, we did a smoothie workshop. So every month we do a workshop. Also, I have a nutritionist that works for me. She does a shopping tour. We do a dinner that one of my doctors, Dr. Andrew, he does a dinner every month where that's really our referral system. We have our patients bring their guests, their friends and family members to the dinner, and he talks about chiropractic care and the life transformations that we see in our clinic and has people give their testimonials. And that's one of our major ways of getting referrals, as well as oftentimes we'll do patient appreciation days and give specials on new patient appointments and different things like that. So we're always doing stuff. We're always promoting the next event and the next opportunity people have to learn and also to refer.
Well, how involved are you in social media? I know you have the website. What else are you using? What other tools?
Yeah, I have a very popular Facebook page for my personal page. It's my Dr. David Jockers page, where I think we've got close to 85,000 likes on that. And we post 6 pieces of content every single day on there, whether it's articles, pictures from my family life, Facebook Lives, all different types of stuff. So we do a lot with that. And then all of my online programs. So we have 6 different online programs where people can basically purchase a coaching program in a sense that we use. So we have an autoimmune program, we have a digestive health program, and it's kind of like a college course that they get, and they can do it for basically $100, $97. And they also get access to a private Facebook group that my nutritionist runs and helps answer their questions. So we have 6 different private Facebook groups, and then we have my professional page, and then we also have a clinic page as well, my Exodus Health Center clinic page. So we use Facebook a lot. We don't use a lot of the other social media, although I do have a social media person that posts on Instagram and things like that. Apparently we do pretty good on Instagram, but I don't even know how to use it. So the only one I actually know how to use and get on, and I get on daily, is Facebook.
Now, is this a marketing person who oversees everything, or do you have just a social media person?
I just have a social media person that reposts stuff, and he basically takes care of our Google+, our Twitter, Pinterest, all that kind of stuff. And we've seen pretty substantial growth with that. And he just reposts a lot of stuff that I'll post on Facebook, on my professional Facebook page.
Well, just in what we've talked about so far, you've clearly had a lot of success. Do you have a mentor?
I've had many over the years. And so I would say if I were to talk about chiropractic mentors, it would be people like Dr. Ben Lerner, Dr. Charles Majors, Randy Johns, Dan and Dave Yachter. So those are some definite chiropractic mentors that I've had. As far as website mentors, Dr. Josh Axe is a good friend and a mentor of mine. And Jordan Rubin is another good friend and mentor. And Dr. Mercola, who I recently met, somebody that I've looked up to for years. And so we just spoke at a conference together. Ty Bollinger from Truth About Cancer. So I would say I've had a lot of professional mentors that are also really great people and have really helped mentor me to be a great man of God as well.
Well, this show is all about providing actionable content for our listeners. So if there is just one thing or maybe a series of steps you could share for our listeners, let's break it down for the new doc and then maybe the doc who's been in practice a while and they're stuck. They're not where they want to be and they're looking for a change.
Yeah. So for new doctors, I would say, really just got to get out and hustle. But then also at the same time, a great book that I read here recently is It Starts With Why. And so you want to really understand your big why. What is it that you have to offer the world? Why did God put you on the planet? What is it that you have to offer the world? What is it that's unique? And other people can be doing it. Other people can have the same why, but it just needs to resonate in your heart and in your mind. And so whatever that is, that you want to be a staple part of your niche, and it needs to be your anchor that strengthens you when you get rejection. So you want to really lock in on your why as much as possible. Journal about it, pray about it, talk to other people with similar whys. You want to absolutely be doing that. And then you need to get out in your community and hustle and meet as many people as you can and offer great value to people, love on people, create relationships. This is what we need to do as a new doc. And then as a seasoned doc, in a sense, you kind of want to step back and just take a look and see if you're really, really practicing and following your why. Or did you kind of go off course in order to, in a sense, make more money or, just get led? I think all of us, if we're not anchored into our why, I know for myself, I've drifted way off base at times because some nice idea came about, but it didn't really anchor into my why, but it was a nice idea and I wasn't anchored into my why. So I drifted in that direction. So I think the more that we can really anchor into our why and start to move in that direction and then get around people that have a similar why and are moving in a similar direction, I think the better off we're going to be.
Well, I want to shift right now and talk about the big picture in life. Let's talk about some of the failures or challenges or obstacles you overcome. We learn so much from our successes, but we can learn even more from our failures. Do you have anything like that? And what did you learn from it?
Yeah, I would say, for sure my own health issues. So overcoming digestive issue, irritable bowel and adrenal fatigue, as well as, when I was about a year into practice and I developed this carcinoma on my nose. And I thought at first I was hoping that it was acne, and I kept looking at it in the mirror and it just kept getting larger, big, red, asymmetrical. And so I knew enough from school to know, hey, this is not normal, especially after it was there for about 6 months. And so my energy was low. I was fatigued again, obviously just in practice, working 6 days a week, if not 7. Most weeks I was actually working 7 days a week, nonstop, living in my practice. And I just had to take an inventory of my life. And I realized, number one, that most of my thoughts were from a fear of failure. So I was so driven by this fear of failing. And I needed to really look at, what did I want to define my life? Was it a fear of failure, or was it a pursuit of what I love and what I'm passionate about? And so through a lot of reprogramming and a lot of prayer, I was able to shift in that direction. I also wasn't taking as good a care of my spine. I wasn't doing my spinal corrective exercises. So I really locked in on that. My nutrition had got off base a little bit. And so really locked in. And that's when I started following what what's called a ketogenic diet at that period of time, and still is. It's one of the things that I teach people. And also started really focusing on detox. And I was actually overtraining. I was doing too much exercise at that time. So I stopped exercising as much and started really focusing on rest and sleep. And I was able to heal that carcinoma naturally. It just actually faded over a period of 3 months and regained my health. And through that, I realized that God had given me victory over that chronic disease, a disease that had killed my grandfather, a melanoma, literally destroyed his life. And so that I had victory over it. And so I think authority comes with victory. And so because of that, and since that period of time, we probably have 5 to 10 patients coming to my clinic or that I'm working with online with different forms of cancer. And we've helped so many people be able to overcome cancer either naturally or naturally in combination with using natural methods in combination with chemotherapy, radiation, or different conventional methods. And so whatever challenge we have is really a setup. It's really part of our testimony, and it's a setup for the next success and what God wants to do in our lives. And so he wants to do great things. He put us on the planet for great things. And so if we're suffering or if we are in a challenge right now, that is meant, in the Bible it says, what the enemy means for evil, God means for good. And God can turn that around and make it something incredible in your life that blesses humanity. And that's my story with that.
Wow, what a great story and a great message as well. Let me ask you this. You mentioned prayer and maybe some other habits. Do you have rituals and routines that you do on a daily basis to help ensure your success?
Yeah, I actually have a number of statements that I will speak over myself on a regular basis. And, just like anybody else, I can definitely fall victim to circumstances and at times think, oh, this is the worst thing ever, and get stuck in a sense, the present moment or thinking about what if or what next. And so these statements really help to empower me and free me from that. And so I think that's a huge thing. And these are just statements from the Bible and scriptures that I'll read and speak over myself that are extremely powerful. And, with my family, we pray on a regular basis every day, basically, my wife and we've got 2 baby boys that we pray over. They're 10 months old at this point. And so we just make that a staple part. There's incredible power in prayer. And I don't think any of us really understands how important that is and how powerful it can be to transform our mindset and take us to a whole nother realm of life.
Do you have a favorite book you'd like to recommend to our listeners?
There's so many. I've got a whole bookshelf right here of my favorite books, but I just read that book that it starts with why. And I think for a business owner, that's probably one of the best books is It Starts With Why. That would be a great book. Also, The 5 Levels of Leadership, John Maxwell is another really, really great one. Anything from John Maxwell, fantastic stuff. Anthony Robbins, seeing a book of his here on my shelf, that's outstanding. So number of great books. But I would say getting into practice or really just reshaping your practice, I would read the book It Starts With Why.
Those are great recommendations, and we're going to link to those on our show notes page. Let me ask you this. What's the best business advice you've ever received?
To provide more value than you're asking for.
Well, that's simple and straight to the point and great advice as well. Well, we've talked about drjockers.com. Is that the best way to reach you, or is there another way that folks should go about looking you up?
Yeah, I would say definitely drjockers.com as well as my Facebook page, Dr. David Jockers.
Well, we'll put those links in the show notes as well. Dr. David, let me say that part again and I'll trim it to make it good. Dr. David Jockers, thanks so much for your time today. All the wisdom you've shared and the business tips and the advice. We can't thank you enough for sharing your valuable time and experience with us.
Great, Richard. Well, it's been great to be on with you, and I wish you nothing but incredible success with your podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast at www.chirobusinessmojo.com.